Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 128 of Speaking from the Heart. Today we'll have Bonnie Hardie join us, and Bonnie is a woman's empowerment coach with an emphasis on mindset, gratitude, personal development, and mind-body connection. She's based in Central Florida, and she empowers midlife women to say bon voyage to the shackles in their mind so they can live their best life and reclaim their joy and passion. Bonnie is also a frequent international podcast guest and summit speaker, and she is a vision board expert and uniquely combines a vision board with the wheel of life, which is color coding the wheel of life, which involves color coding. Her 5x5 formula to a rock-solid day program is creating 5 activities that can be done for 1 to 5 minutes in the morning so that your day starts off rock solid, which includes areas such as grounding yourself and deep breathing. Now, I will say that you might have some difficulty in some parts of this episode to be able to hear clearly because we had some technical issues throughout the recording based on the location in which she was recording at. But nevertheless, you will find that in today's episode, I really thought I had a good understanding of what Bonnie was all about, why she does what she does, and we even talk about some of these very aspects about what she really is. But wait till the very end, in which I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there's quite a surprise about her life story that, even with all the things that I had found out about her today, I actually realized that sometimes a book should not be judged by its cover, but being able to get from that one side to the other side so that you can empower others and to help others really aligns with not just what my story has been all about, but I'm wondering if for you today, my listeners, it aligns with you as well. Because let's face it, when we get over ourselves and we get over the fact that not everything is what it appears, I think you might be surprised by the end result, especially when you get to know others for what they truly are. But with that, let's go to the episode. All right, we're here with Bonnie Hardie. Bonnie, thanks for sharing your heart with us today.
Hey, Josh. Thank you very much for having me. I do appreciate it, and happy Thursday.
Yes, happy Thursday as we're recording it on a Thursday. So thank you so much for being able to take some time to interview with me. And I've already let the audience know a little bit about you. And I want to get started with this question that I had just reading your bio to the audience. What got you into coaching in the first place, let alone women's empowerment coaching?
That's a good question, Josh. I get asked that all the time. And I am my own best client, to be honest with you. I am one of those women that's not really sure what's going on. What is next for me? I'm not a widower. I'm not a divorcee. I don't have any kids. But I'm at that age where I'm 59 right now. And it's like, what's the best way that I can help other people and help myself? So I said, look, yeah, I have been through anxiety, depression, PTSD, domestic violence, deaths of family members and stuff like that. And had people say, your feelings are silly. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve that. Very anti-bullying, and I'm very pro-empowerment. My elevator pitch, so to speak, is I empower midlife women to say bon voyage to the shackles in their mind so that they can live their best life and reclaim their joy and passion. Sometimes maybe when you were growing up, your best friend or your sibling said, hey, you can't dance or you can't sing or you're too loud. And now when you're older, you don't want to do anything because of what was programmed in you so long ago. And, Bonnie and Bon Voyage works out pretty good to me. And it's like, just get rid of the shackles in your mind. And as long as you're not doing anything illegal, immoral, or unethical, do what you want to do what makes you happy. And if other people don't like that, well, I'm sorry. I'm going to live the life that I want to live. And you can come along with me for the ride, or you can just stand by and watch me and wave bye-bye.
Well, it makes me really want to ask this question. Have you done anything illegal, unethical, unmoral? Because if you're working with people like that, you must have a story behind one of those categories.
No, I'm pretty clean and stuff like that. And I try to be around people who are pretty clean. And I say, as long as you're going on the straight path, you should be doing what it is that you want to do, because you just want to be doing the right stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty clean myself, and I try to just to hang out with other people who are cool and don't have any problems. I don't need too many problems in my life.
Well, hey, I just had to check because that came to my mind right away.
Right.
But when you say have people go on a straight path, what in your mind, what does that mean for somebody listening? Because I think we all have different paths that we take, and they're not necessarily straight. So how do you help people do that?
Well, I talk to them about what their passions are, what their hobbies are, what do they do that makes them happy. And if they can turn that into something that makes them money or some type of business, that's always a good thing because money is really important. And, they say you'll never work a day in your life if you work doing something you love. What makes you happy? What makes you want to get up out of bed in the morning and go do stuff? If you wake up every day and you hate your job, you don't want to get up and you're not motivated, then let's see what you like to do that's going to make you really want to just jump up out of bed and be rocking and rolling, even if it's cold out or rainy out or whatever,
Yeah. You saying that made me think of a couple things relating to what gets me out of bed, what makes me want to keep pushing forward. And I work with both men and women. So I'm kind of curious, you probably are doing a lot more with women as it relates to not only the day-to-day. I don't know if there's a particular type of client that you work with, whether that's a business sort of sense or a personal sort of sense, but has there been a common theme that you've seen in coaching that maybe some people are struggling over other things? Like maybe they're struggling with work-life balance, maybe they're dealing with setting goals and achieving them. What's the most common thing that you've seen in your line of helping women?
Probably like the setting goals. They kind of know that they want to do something, but they're not really sure what it is they want or how to get there. We've got a lot of different things going on in the United States and in the world this year. So I'm a vision board expert. I do vision board workshops. So it's like, how is 2023 for you? How is 2022 for you? How do you want your 2024 to be? I came up with this little thing called Let Me Help You Soar in 2024. So just try to think about what does make you happy, what you like to do that will get you motivated to get out and rock the world and rock yourself,
How do you rock the world, Bonnie? You got me really curious now.
I rock the world by trying to empower people, trying to uplift people, trying to improve people, see how people are. And there's somebody that I know that has a little bit of anxiety. She sometimes gets kind of overwhelmed at work. So I frequent her place of business. So what I did a few days ago is I gave her something else to think about. When she gets overwhelmed and starts to get a little anxious, I said, why don't you put your mind on this for a little while? And she did. And she came up with a really great idea that really helped me out. So I do cognitive behavior therapy also. So that's just kind of switching your behaviors and switching your thoughts about stuff. So I took her mind off of what was going on right then that was causing anxiety, and I put it on something else. And then afterwards, she was like really happy that she really was able to help me. So I changed her whole world in like 10 to 15 minutes. So that made me really happy too. To see her a few minutes earlier, she was almost shaking because she was getting so anxious. And then she's got a big smile on her face and she's really happy. And she's telling somebody else, hey, look, I did this and I'm helping Bonnie with this project. And she's really happy with what I did and stuff like that. So that floats my boat. That makes me happy when I see that I've helped somebody else. That be kind to others and you help others out and don't look down on other people. Everybody's the same. Definitely.
I feel that is such a lost art. I've talked to other guests that I've had on the show about having that sort of concern too, when it comes to not only addressing the mindset that we typically have about that, but also overcoming that stigma, because I think we get wrapped up in those sort of thought patterns ourselves. So when you say that you try to switch people's thoughts about what they're viewing, means is that the typical sort of way that you do it, given the example that you have, or do you do other ways of helping people to kind of tune that thought out that might be bothering them and going into another direction? I wonder if you could share a couple other ideas or things that you've done as it relates to that.
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on the person or situation. Sometimes I'll tell people, if you're at your job and you're getting like really anxious about something, have a code word that you can give to your boss to let them know that you may need to just go off for a couple minutes. Or some people, they like to squeeze stuff, or they have the fidget spinners or something. Just stop, take a couple of deep breaths, just relax for 30 seconds. Sometimes 30 seconds for 1 minute helps tremendously. So just kind of stop, take a deep breath, tell them in through the nose, hold for a couple of seconds, out through the mouth. Because you can kind of tell when you're looking at them that their shoulders are up to their ears, and then their shoulders go down, and you can see them relax, and fill your lungs with air completely as much as you can. So it just kind of depends. And I know people who do EFT tapping, so I can do that a little bit, or I do the CBT, or I just help them meditate, depending on the situation, maybe journal a few things or name a couple of things they're grateful for. So kind of depends on the person and the situation and what's going on. I might only have 32 seconds to help somebody. So then I have to kind of figure it out real quick the best way to help that person individually.
I've heard of CPT. I've actually done that with my therapist, and I've actually had on the show a therapist that kind of walked us through some of those aspects. But you said something about EFT tapping, if I understood you. Could you describe for our audience what that is and what that process is involved?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like acupuncture, but without the needles, where there's different points that you tap on your head, above the eye, the side of the eye, below the eye, down here on the chin. Sometimes like on the shoulder, on the head like that. And it looks kind of weird sometimes, but it kind of makes you more relaxed. Sometimes I'll sit here and I'll do this, and I don't realize that I'm tapping because I'm doing like this. And then somebody's like, oh, so sometimes it's subconsciously that I'm doing that, or like I'll be under the table and I'll just be like tapping my arm or something like that. And that helps relax you, because what you do when you're tapping, you're saying like negative things and then you're saying positive things. It's like, you're going around tapping. Even though I don't have a lot of money right now, it's okay. Even though I'm not exactly where I want to live, it's okay. And then after a couple minutes, you go, now I am going to make more money. Now I am going to be living in a place that I want to live in. Now I'm going to be doing what I want to do with my job. So it's kind of like that, because they say you have to get rid of the negative to start the positive. Get rid of all the junk. Cleanse yourself of all the junk in your body, cleanse yourself of all the junk in your mind, and start all over again. So it's great to have different modalities. Some people totally specialize in one, and some people kind of do it right. It's kind of like a doctor. Your general practitioner can do a little bit of everything, but then sometimes you need a specialist that really goes deep down with stuff. So right now, I'm a little more of a generalist, but I am working on figuring out what I want to do the most, or probably the CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy. That's probably what I'm going to work on the most. So I am really getting into that and learning P and stuff like that. Just try to make people kind of change their thoughts a little bit about stuff until you say stuff to people that makes a big difference. Because sometimes you might have to say something that's kind of negative, but you want to try to be as positive as possible. So you're not always like downgrading on people,
That sounds like me on a daily basis with this podcast. Maybe I should start doing some tapping and be like, I'm going to get more listeners. I am being more positive about this. And I'm kidding for my audience. I really love all of you and what you've done to support this. So, but Bonnie, you started to talk about vision boards, and I want to revisit that subject matter because I've exposed some of my clients to that technique too. And I've seen all kinds of different types of ways in which you can do vision boards. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what a vision board is for our audience, and then walk through maybe some things that you typically do with your clients when it involves that, because you have an interesting approach too that it involves colors, and I thought maybe you could share some of that as well.
Yes. Well, a vision board, you can do it online or actually physically do it. You just want to kind of think about what it is you want your future to look like. And you get different pictures, and you get words, and put it on a big piece of paper or a big piece of cardboard paper. And say you want to eat healthier. So you write the words healthy eating. And then you could grab some pictures of salad or fish or something like that and put that on your vision board. Or like if you want to take a cruise, go to that cruise website, take off pictures of the cruise ship and the onboard activities and the island that they're going to. Put that on there. If you want to just start being more friendly, or say, I'm a friendly person, then put a picture up there of you smiling. things like that. And then put that vision board on a place where you're going to see it on a regular basis. And just when you wake up, kind of look at that and say, this is how I want the vision for my life to look like. And you can't just put pretty pictures up to look at every day and you're going to be on the cruise in 8 months on your birthday, right? That's not going to happen. You have to do things to get you to that. You have to think of your why. And this is why I want to do this. I want to live in a nicer house because maybe you grew up in a really small house and now you just want more space. I want to take a cruise because I've never been on a cruise before and it sounds really interesting. Things like that. And it's like when you're doing things on a regular basis, is what I'm doing getting me to my future goals or not? You're not going to be doing stuff every single day for your future goals. There's some days you just can't, you just don't want to. You just got to sit and spin and not really do a whole lot. But if you have future goals that you want to reach, if you have a vision board, that's something tangible you can look at. But why do I want to do this? Why do I want to do that? As a coach, I tell people, I'm kind of like a 2-year-old sometimes. I always ask them why. They get big. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? And eventually we'll peel all the layers of the onion and we'll get to exactly why did you want to do what you want to do.
Yeah. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the colors too. The wheel of colors, I should say, because that's a little interesting.
Yeah. That's the wheel of life. And it has 8 categories on it. And categories like personal development, money, friendship. And the way I do it is I score it on a scale of 1 to 100. And if you score at 20% or below, we color that section red. If you grade it 80% or above, I color code that green. And if you rate it between 20% and 80%, we color code that yellow. And then you can look at it and it's visual. And you can see that, the 8 categories, 4 of them are red. That's not good. You're not rating the things very good. But on the other hand, you can look at it and say, hey, 6 of the 8 are green and 2 of them are yellow. So I'm doing pretty good. And stuff, nothing on that's going to ever be 100% all the time. Nobody at all. But you want to try to keep it as high as possible. And that's visual too. Because people are like, well, how often should you do a vision board? You can do it once a year, every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever floats your boat, so to speak. And you want to do it, then you can revisit it. And you can say, hey, I might have ranked this 40% a few months ago, but now it's 70%. So you're still in the yellow, but you ranked it much higher, so that's better. And I ask specific questions about each category. And then if you're rating it very low, why is it low? What do we need to improve? And if you're rating it very high, why is it so high? What do we need to do to stay that high? Because I don't want to go from green to red in a couple months. That's not a good thing, I've never had that happen with anybody. Everybody's always improved.
Do you check in with your clients and actually ask them those questions as to why that goes back?
Yes, I check in, and that program right now is just like a 2 to 3 hour program where we do everything all at once, and then we do a follow up, and then there's regular follow ups to check in and see how is it going. Is there anything you might want to change, or something not ranking as well as it was before? Do we need to work on something? In general, how is your life going? And if it's going bad, what do I need to do to help you fix it? And if it's going good, what do I need to do to help you keep it at that level so you always are as positive and as happy as you can be?
You have this 5x5 formula that I was wondering if you could talk about a little bit too.
Yes, that's my 5x5 formula to a rock solid day. And that's 5 activities you can do in the morning from 1 to 5 minutes each to start your day off rock solid. The name of my business is Rock Solid Women's Empowerment Coaching, so you hear me say the words rock solid a lot. And my 5 activities that I personally do is meditate, journal, practice gratitude, deep breathing, and grounding yourself. And you can do any of these as long as you want, as short as you want. I do challenge people to, when they do the gratitude, to name 5 things that they're grateful for every day. And it's got to change every day. I mean, you're grateful you woke up this morning, but you got to be grateful for other things on different days. A journal. How did your night go last night? Did you sleep well? Did you not sleep well? Do you remember what your dreams are? How do you feel when you wake up? The deep breathing. In through the nose, hold it out through the mouth. Try to fill your lungs up. The grounding yourself. Go outside and stand in bare feet. And either like the sand or the grass. And look up towards the sun. Don't look straight at the sun. I don't want you to go blind. Kind of stretch yourself out and reach like this up to the stars, so to speak. And when you do that, it makes you feel so much better. And meditation, just kind of sit with yourself for 1 or 2 minutes and just relax. Try to clear your mind as much as you can. Try to get all the noise away from you and just try to sit for a minute and, how do I want my day to be today? And what do I need to do to make today a rock solid day, basically?
Bonnie, the other thing that I noticed about your bio is that you have been on international podcasts. You've also done some summit speaking events. I'm curious if that's helped you in not only being a better coach to help others, but how has that been able to impact your style of coaching?
Yes, Joshua, I do like being on different podcasts talking about a variety of subjects. And I have been on different summits. I usually do speak about women's empowerment, about mindset, personal development, gratitude. And when I'm on different summits, it's usually a whole bunch of different people that are guests also. So I get to watch their interviews and see what type of coach they are and how they help their clients. And then just being on different types of podcasts, it does get my name out there. And I get to spread my story about what I do and how I help people. And I get to learn about how it is to be on the other side. Because I may eventually start my own podcast or at least do basic interviews with people. So it's cool to talk to people and see how their setup is and stuff like that. And how they decide what kind of podcasts that they want to have, what kind of topics and the setups that they do and how they record them and release them and all that kind of stuff. But I know it's a lot of work in the background and stuff like that. I just pop onto the Zoom link or whichever link and start talking about what I want to talk about. It's not that hard for me sometimes, but filling out the application correctly is also extremely important because you want to add as much value as you can to the podcast host. So they will get a lot more listeners and so they will get more people interested in listening to their podcasts.
I had that thought when I first started out. And it's funny because I recently had a buddy of mine that helped me to get started. His name is Michael Dugan. And Michael really emphasized with me, it isn't just about the followers because that will come. It's about the people that get to listen to it. They get to grow. And I feel that I have that sincere following from people because of not just the guests that I've had, but also the opportunity to be able to learn so much. So what you're saying is part of it. I feel like the bigger part of it is just being able to feel like you are being enriched by what they are sharing with you and what you're able to take from it. Which, speaking of enrichment, you've been doing this. I actually never asked you this. How many years have you been doing the coaching?
Not very long. I'm really only about 2 years or so. I was a virtual assistant for a while. And then I decided to go into coaching. And I've pivoted a little bit. I was a mindset, life, and gratitude coach. And then I decided to go into women's empowerment coaching with the emphasis on the mindset and the personal development. So it's basically kind of the same thing, but just a little bit different of an angle, so to speak.
So same boat as me, just recently starting out. I have my full-time job myself. So we're kind of in this together, trying to figure things out sometimes. Yeah. And being a business owner, let alone trying to figure out how these bigger picture aspects work, sometimes can be a little overwhelming. I'm wondering for you, what has been the most rewarding experience in these last 2 years that you've had, whether that's with a client, whether that is with what you've achieved in your business? I'm curious because I can list a few things that I have in just my little over a year doing this, but I always am curious with somebody that is like-minded, trying to also navigate these channels. What has it been for you?
It's been pretty rewarding. I've been featured in a few magazines. I was featured in a local magazine last year as one of only 6 women next door. And I got the print magazine and I actually have it taped up in a coffee shop that I frequent on a regular basis. And I actually have autographed it to that coffee shop, Panera Bread. And I was recognized by somebody in there this morning, like, Bonnie, is that you in that magazine? I say, yeah. So that makes me feel really good that I'm reaching out to people and people are recognizing me and realizing that, hey, she might be going through a really tough time personally right now, but she's a professional. She's trying to really keep it going and rock on. So I'm proud of myself for being able to do a lot of different things and get my name out internationally that I can help people.
Yeah. And finding that international recognition can be tough because I feel that the coaching world, quote unquote, is a little saturated with these people that want to pretend that they are, or they think that they're peddling the right message when really they're not, because it might have been just from bad messaging. It might have been from things that they thought were the right things to do. And what really irks me the most is that I see these coaches that say, well, you can make 6 or 7 figures if you follow my formula and my format. Well, no, I don't want to be just like you. I want to be my unique self. So I'm going to pave my own path. Sure, there's a lot to learn in terms of lessons that maybe you have along the way, but that doesn't mean that you have all the answers. So I'm curious, are you one of those people that wants to be a 6, 7-figure coach and then trying to figure out what that means by following someone else's footsteps? I feel like you are paving your own path from what you tell me.
No, I tell people all the time. I always get people say, join my $50,000 a year program, or I'll get you this much. And I am more service over selling. And I understand the money is important because we all need money for stuff. However, if people approach me initially just talking about how much money they can help me get to or how much money they're making, that kind of to a point turns me off.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Some people like the lavish things, and I don't need anything real fancy. I just need a comfortable bed to sleep in, my own private bathroom to use, Wi-Fi, refrigerator, microwave, and a desk. And that's all I need. I don't need anything real fancy. And I'm just kind of plain. And I know people that have a lot of money, and I don't get jealous at all about that, because they're busting their butt to get their money. They can spend it on whatever they want. And eventually I'm going to be able to be in the space where I'm making enough money to be able to do more things. But I'm never going to be one of those people that it would be nice to be able to fly first class. You know?
Treat yourself a little bit from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be able to treat myself. But if I'm paying $1,000 a night for a hotel room, where somebody better be reading me a bedtime story, better put a knuckle on my bed, better give me a stuffed animal to sleep with, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of money and stuff, you know.
Well,
Give me a
yeah.
bathroom, sleeping and stuff, you know.
Yeah. I don't know about them tucking me into my own hotel bed, but a lot of the things that you said sound appealing. And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
Bonnie, we're pretty much at the end of time, but before we ask you to give a little bit of a pitch about yourself, if people want to reach out to you, I have this final question, and it is about what you just said, is that you said it's about service over selling. So what is it that you want to leave my listeners with today when it relates to being able to provide a service to others? Because I feel like in this world, we often forget that it isn't always about necessarily making that quick buck, but it's about being able to pave it with good intentions forward. But not to jade what you're about to say, I feel like that's sort of my mantra. So what's your mantra with that as we close out?
You know, just serve people to the best of your ability and try to help them out as much as you can. It's like a ripple effect. If I help 10 people who help 10 people who help 10 people, I can only do so much as one person, but I can get the word out about how I help people. And I want people to be motivated and inspired by me, because the truth of the matter right now, Joshua, is I am homeless, and I've been homeless for almost 2 years. And I am still doing all of these things while being homeless. So my question to a lot of people is, what is your excuse? When I'm sleeping on concrete every single night, and I've got osteoarthritis in my knees, and I can barely walk half the time anyway, and then that's causing even more problems. So I'm not getting a lot of sleep at night. I'm always exhausted. I'm not really eating properly because I have a microwave at my disposal I can use during the daytime at the coffee shop. But there's only so many things I can put in there. I can't be putting popcorn in there and making the place smell like popcorn the rest of the day and stuff like that. But I've got a whole lot of things going against me. Like we talked earlier, I've been bullied. I've dealt with death of family members. I've dealt with domestic violence. I've dealt with anxiety, depression, PTSD. And add on top of that, being homeless. And add on top of that, being hungry all the time and being exhausted all the time and being this, that, and the other all the time. But I still get up very early in the morning and spend my days helping other people as much as I can, setting up podcasts like this, setting up summits, setting up this, that, and the other. And I could be the one sitting in the corner crying, but is that going to do me any good? If you're going to be a Debbie Downer all the time, people aren't going to want to hang out with you. So that's why I strive to help other people, because I don't want people to feel like me. I don't want people to feel like they're invisible, that nobody gives a crap about them. And, oh, you're homeless. You deserve to be homeless. Why don't you get a job? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you be in my position? And see, it's a vicious cycle with a lot of different things. I found out last week that my bank account got closed down because I don't have a actual address that I live at. I have a box at a UPS store. And then it's like, okay, well, if I had a hotel to stay in for a while, I could use that address, but I need the money that was in the bank account to pay for the hotel, to get the address, to get this, to get that. So I'm like, okay, let's just try to figure something out. So I ended up deciding to have a PayPal fundraiser that for 1 week, just try to get some money so I can at least get a roof over my head for at least a couple days, a couple weeks, so I can have some privacy, so I can have some nice and quiet time, so I can be able to sleep undisturbed in a nice bed and not sleep on the concrete. And I hate to ask people for money, but it's like, at this point, all these different things going on, I have to do something. So it's like, hey, I am homeless, but I still try to do the best I can under my conditions. And when other people kind of say, oh, I didn't get out of sleep last night because my dog kept barking, it's like, I don't get sleep because I am sleeping on concrete. B, there's lights going on all the time. C, there's a hospital a half a mile away. So 5 or 6 times a night, the siren's going by. I don't know what your excuse is, but we did that one night. I did this every single night. And I'm really trying hard to get out of being homeless because, honest with you, February 21st will be 2 years that I'm homeless. And my mom's birthday is February 20th. And I want to give my mom a really cool birthday present. I have a place to stay. And I've been able to here and there get a hotel or get an Airbnb or get a hostel for a little while. But if I could get a place for like at least a month where I have total privacy, can do what I want, get plenty of sleep, how many things do you think I can really do? I could totally explode myself in my business. I just need to have the money to get the roof over the head, to get the business going, but the business needs to be making the money to get the, so it's like I don't know where the top part is or where the bottom part is for that, you know?
Wow. I had no idea when we set this up or even talked that you have been experiencing that for 2 years. So first off, kudos to you to have a mindset like yours. That's rock solid in itself. So definitely bon voyage to anybody else that says that they have it tough. I mean, I feel that I'm humbled by what you said, because after this, I'm going to hang up my headphones and I can go home to a warm place. And you don't have that right now. And that makes me feel sad. But at the same time, what warms my heart is that you're not beaten down by this. You are so much stronger because of just wanting to keep pushing forward. And for those that ever thought that it's about, oh, well, she just needs to try more or she just needs to do a little bit better, that isn't what this has been about. And for many people, homelessness isn't because of something that is going on in their life. It might be going on in their life, but that isn't the sole cause of it. It's all kinds of other things.
Right.
But you inspire me, Bonnie, for wanting to push forward. You really do. I really mean that. And you open my eyes to why this is important for me to have people like you on the show, to be able to share your story and to also know that there is hope. So with that said, I want to give you the last few minutes. If anybody's interested in contacting you, maybe they even want to help you out, I would love to give you that opportunity to pitch to my audience, anybody that is willing to help you, what they would be able to do to be able to accomplish that. So I'll give you these last few minutes to do that.
Well, you know, really what I need the most, I have my different programs. I'm working on getting a website so everything is all in one spot. If somebody's interested in having me on their podcast or join their summit, they can contact me. And if they just want to send me a private message saying, hey, I heard you on Josh's podcast, and before I was feeling this way, and then after listening to you talk, after that 45 minutes to an hour, this is how I was feeling. That's going to be something that's going to make me feel really good, because I know that I'm connecting with people, with my story, with what goes on. And I'm going to write a book eventually, and it's going to be called Rock Bottom to Rock Solid. I am at rock bottom now, but I'm going to be a rock solid pretty soon. And I remember who was there for me when I was down. And I'm going to remember who's going to be there for me when I'm up. And just because somebody isn't doing as good as you right now doesn't make them a bad person. And anybody can be in this position at any time. And it's not so easy. Why don't you just go get a job? I have such bad knees that I was told I may need to have both knees replaced by the time I'm 60. And that's August of this year. So that's a vicious cycle with that too. And there's help a little bit here and there, but there's not that much. If people keep thinking there's a lot of stuff that's helpful, there's not. And don't you think I know it goes on in the state that I've lived in for 50 plus years, and in the county that I've lived in for over 10 years? I know where help is, and I've done as much as I can. And sometimes they fill out applications for certain things, and it takes them 6 months to get back to you. That's nothing I can do. I've done everything I can do. Now I'm waiting on other people to do something. But I'm not going to just sit in the corner and wait for somebody to say, hey, we're going to give you disability. We're going to give you social security. We're going to give you free knee replacements. I'm not waiting for that. I'm doing my own stuff. And when I get those phone calls or get those emails saying, we're going to schedule you for something like this, or we're going to start giving you this amount of money, then that's fine. I'm trying to do it all on my own and just have people sign up for my programs. I hope that when this comes out, I'm in a much better spot. Well, we'll see about that. But all I'm asking for is for respect and just the understanding. And they'll be looking down on me because I'm homeless. That doesn't define me. That's just my situation. And if you ever get in this situation, I guarantee you'll be calling me and saying, Bonnie, oh my God, I'm homeless. What do I do? And I don't really want to be that person that has to help a lot of other people that are in this position. I don't want to see anybody be homeless. There's very few people that deserve this. And even if I was a drug addict, or even if I was an alcoholic, which I'm not, I'm still somebody's sister. I'm still somebody's daughter. I'm still somebody's aunt. And I'm still somebody's great aunt. How would you want your sister, your brother, your whomever treated bad because they're homeless? Would you want somebody to treat you like that, or somebody you love like that? So put the shoe on the other foot and just don't stick your nose up in the air and think you're greater than everybody else, because when we die, our coffin is the exact same size. Unless you're a real big person, then you can have a bigger coffin, and then that's about it. You're not going to be buried in this big old house you have, or this really nice car and stuff like that, you know?
You have all my respect, and you have the respect of my listeners, because everything that I've ever wanted to start this show about was about the fact that I want people to feel like they're respected. So there's no disrespect here. And as a matter of fact, it gives me even more respect to the fact that you have an experience that I cannot hold a candle to. I have never experienced homelessness, and I hope that I don't. I've come close, and I don't even tell some of my close friends this, but I have come very close to losing it all because of some of the things that I've been. But for some reason, for some other part of what's been going on, I don't know why, but sometimes it just always works out. But it means the same thing for you, is that there is a time, there is a place, it will work out for you. And for all those reasons, Bonnie, thank you for being on Speaking from the Heart. Thank you for not only being a coach to others, but also being a coach to me, because I certainly learned something from you today.
Thanks a lot, Josh. I really do appreciate being on Speaking from the Heart. And I really did speak from the heart. So I hope that when people listen to this, they are inspired and motivated by me and by you, and they go out and just do what they want to do, and don't be chained by the shackles in your mind from what happened in the past. Say bon voyage to all those shackles in your mind.
Bon voyage to a lot of those different things, for sure. Thank you again, Bonnie.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
I want to thank Bonnie for being part of the show, but more importantly, sharing the fact that she has been through so much to get to where she is, especially right at the end of her story, which was quite a shocker to me, even when I was interviewing me, because I had no idea about this, nor did she ever say anything until the very end. But I don't think it was saying it more than it was about actually admitting that maybe there is some other things that really motivate her to keep pushing forward. Let's face it, we all have different motivations in which we're able to work with others based on what we have as a background. But Bonnie's story in itself, once I realized this towards the end of this interview, it made me put in perspective why it's so important to help others, even with having that pro-type attitude that we talked about. So how do we create that engagement within us to address that? How can we even move others to be able to do that so that they can walk a straight line, as opposed to a wavy, crooked line that sometimes life throws at us? Now, I'm not saying either that being able to walk through those lines or even walk through those difficult journeys means that you should be taking a break or even letting that even pass by, for that matter, because sometimes walking that wavy line can help us grow. It allows us to stretch outside the straight line that we've always walked on. But if we really want to remain focused on some of the things that help us to move that needle forward or move that goal forward for that matter, we have to look at how those wavy lines and even those straight lines all align. Straight lines sometimes in themselves need to be available so that we can keep on seeing that path that is right in front of us. Although sometimes the fog or even the light that even illuminates it prevents us from being able to really see that as well. But what can we do to set goals? What can we do to be able to move some of those aspects forward? How do we rock the world by switching our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions of what's involved into a more positive mindset? Well, I think that Bonnie shared a lot of that today. It's just about really looking at it from a different perspective. It doesn't mean, though, that you lose sight of it. It doesn't mean that you keep thinking that nothing's going to ever change. It means actually looking at what things are happening with your mindset. Are you grateful for the things that are involved? Are you happy with the personal development that you've been channeling? More importantly, is there a connection between not just your mind, but your body as well, in order for you to understand the mere importance of not just learning how to evolve, not just expanding your thought process, not just changing your mindset, but more importantly, how are you going to be able to get from one point to the other? How can we switch that thought? How can we turn on that light switch, or even flip off a light switch for that matter, of those codes that our body is shooting towards us? Whether it's stress or an anxiety that tingles throughout our arms and legs. How can we relax, provide various forms of engagement, whether that's through tapping or breathing or growing in areas that normally you don't feel like you should be involved in, but yet you need to be involved in so that you can continue to move in that direction that you always wanted to go in. Let's be real. Vision boards, which is something that I even use in some of my coaching practices, really involve not just looking at cutout pictures of magazines or even some of the items that are laying around your house, as even Bonnie's talked about, but it's really describing what you want to create in your life. What do you want to achieve as that ultimate vision of yourself? Clients that I have do this exercise really help to not only learn more about what they have inside themselves that is really dormant or oftentimes not thought about, but it creates a vision for what is to be the real person, their first name and last name included. But yet you have to understand, for some people that are willing to do this, it means actually staying committed towards the end goal, regardless of what you might face. And that is really the biggest challenge in itself. When we look at personal development, when we look at life in general, how many times does it need to be done before it actually gets done? That ultimate goal that we wanted to achieve, why do we have to do all these extra small things that are involved with it? More importantly, what can we do to just overcome? Why can't we always just be on that straight path instead of walking all over the place in wavy lines? That's easier said than done. But yet, at the same time, that's why we have exercises like meditation, yoga, getting yourself away from the environment that you're in that is oftentimes not allowing you to unlock that creativity. Just changing your scenery can make all the difference. But to be able to fit into this other side, this other opportunity that we have inside of ourselves, means that we have to talk about what we need to talk about. Whether we're facing that with a coach that is completely impartial to it, or it's something else. But you have to be able to have the bare essentials to be able to do so. And sometimes, the people that you think are really having it all together oftentimes lack the bare essentials. It's so uncanny. Somebody like this incredible woman who's homeless, who has been fighting her way through life, no matter what struggles there have been, has been able to even help others. Now, if that isn't a heart of gold, and that isn't anybody that you ever thought of in your life that maybe hasn't been able to be there for you, regardless of what you've tried to do to get them involved, I think that you need to talk to this lady and see what she's all about. Because she puts service over selling. She gets where she needs to go, even with the rock bottom, rock solid philosophy that she has. She has to keep pushing herself forward, no matter what struggles may lie ahead. I mentioned earlier about how this episode was a little bit of a technical struggle. Matter of fact, Bonnie recorded this at a library where she was able to get free Wi-Fi access, be able to have access to a computer to be able to even do this. Because she relies more on a cell phone to do everything that she ever needs to do in her life. Because that's all she really has at the moment. Now, if you're interested in reaching out and contacting her, feel free. Her information's in the episode notes, so you can do that. I'm sure she'll be grateful for the donations that you would give her so that she can get back on her feet. But that's really what this is about. Community. Building that. Growing that. Investing in it. And no matter what way you might look at it, even if you have a 5x5 formula or you have a joy for the world in which you want to live in a completely different way, just remember that there are people that don't even have the bare essentials, let alone even free Wi-Fi for that matter, to be able to access some of the vast resources that even across the world, many people don't even get the chance or the opportunity to enjoy because of their socioeconomic status. You know, on this show, I've always believed that everybody has a voice, but this really takes a whole new level of responsibility today in what I have said and what I've even interviewed with Bonnie, being a coach herself, which, even with all that said, I don't have pity. More so, I have hope for her. I have opportunity that I see in her. I believe in everything that she is able to do because of her perspective. And as I've always said about my coaches on this show, it's about what we bring as a different perspective based on our life, personal, business, professional experiences, regardless of what it is. Bonnie has a leg up on me when it comes to having that plight of homelessness, for that matter. Next time that you feel that you have to shake the core of your world in order to get to a different direction, ask yourself if it's really shaking it to the very foundation. If it's really testing your faith, your limited ability to be able to grow in vast different ways. Because if you could switch our feelings and our thoughts into something that we could really be negative about, but yet change our thoughts to be more positive, to be more encouraging, to be more thoughtful about the ways in which we're helping others, if we can be more pro about what we are able to do, imagine what we can do for others, just like my guest today. There's been a lot of things that I have been through in my life, but I have to say homelessness is one of the biggest struggles in this community that not only I live in here in South Central PA, but I know across the United States for that matter. And it's only grown worse as time has gone on. So I have these words of encouragement for those that are out there. First off, there are a lot of resources available. If you're not sure where to turn to, reach out to me. podcast@yourspeakingvoice.biz. I don't care where you live. We'll figure it out. I'll put you in the right connection. I'll put you in the right place, especially with all the numerous people that I have been able to meet, not just because of Speaking from the Heart, but because of my business, Your Speaking Voice LLC. That's number one. Number two, if somebody like Bonnie can have such a positive mindset and be able to help others, no matter what she has going on in her life, that means that there is hope for you. And that no matter what circumstances have put you there in the first place, even if it's your own mental health, know that there's always excellent opportunities for you. And there are ways that we can get you involved right back from square one. But my final thing that I want to say to you is that no matter what way you look at it, no matter which way it might be where you might be despondent because of how people have ridiculed you or put you down, or might have been something else completely different, whether it's related to a job loss, medical issues, or something else. Just know that there are some good people in this world, and they're willing to help you no matter what. They'll figure out a way, even if they can't do it themselves, Because no matter how many times it takes to get it done, it's about the chance that you can overcome it that really matters the most. So no matter if you're homeless or not, I want you to know that you are the hope. You are the world for some of these people that need it the most. And you might have some valuable resources, which for others might be just the bare essentials they need to keep moving forward. Thanks for listening to episode number 128 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.